Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We're focusing here on good old Taiwan today.
Yay!
And there, of course, are lots of things to talk about in Taiwan. And if you're traveling abroad or studying or working abroad, you will run into people who want to know more about your home country. So we're going to tell you how to explain some things about Taiwan to foreigners using English. They will ask you about this place called Jianan. What is that? You know, I've heard of Taipei, I've heard of Taichung and Taroko Gorge and Kaohsiung, but Jianan, what is that?
Do you know, I saw that on the article and I thought, I don't even know that word. What are they talking about? So it's not something I'm familiar with either. So this is interesting to read. I do know about irrigation, though, because we have irrigation where I live at home. So not here in Taiwan, but back in the States.
Yeah, back in the desert of Arizona, they actually got irrigation
We
there,
do,
right?
yes. It comes to my house. Oh, I think during the summer, it comes once a week. And it's crazy. My dad has to go open this big wheel. He turns this wheel and we can sign up for 2 or 3 hours. And it goes, we have an acre, so it goes from the back of the house to the front of the house. And then we turn it off. When we were kids, it was like having a little pool in your grass because, you know, there's a lot of water all at once. But in the winter, I think it's only once a month, I think. I can't remember. But it's a big difference. Our water bill is so much lower than the people on other areas of the neighborhood that don't have access to the irrigation. Yeah.
Okay, but irrigation, of course, is important to the farmers of Chiayi and Tainan. So that's the Chiayi area of Taiwan. So today's lesson is all about behind the bounty of the Jianan Plain. In other words, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Jianan and how irrigation became so important to this area. So let's get to it. Let's read through the entire contents of our lesson right now. When you look at a map of Taiwan, you probably first notice its yam-like shape and then perhaps its mountainous backbone. One part that's often overlooked, though, is the patchwork of fields covering the Jianan Plain. This plain stretches from Kaohsiung in the south to Chiayi in the north, nestled between the west coast and the Alishan Range. The primary crops on the plain are commodities like rice and sugarcane, though farmers also plant sweet potatoes and a variety of grains. Many rivers stitch themselves across the landscape, but a dry year can diminish the amount of water available to farmers. Relying solely on rain and rivers can thus be a dangerous proposition, not only for farmers, but also for the countries that depend on their harvests. In the early 1900s, when Imperial Japan occupied Taiwan, the colonial administrators wanted to increase rice production on the Jianan Plain because Japan was suffering food shortages. They hoped to solve problems at home by investing in the agricultural development of Taiwan. Control of this immense project was placed in the hands of an engineer named Hata Yoichi. With rigorous management of a corps of local workers and the most advanced machinery available at the time, he executed his plans for a huge dam and numerous irrigation canals. This year commemorates the 100th anniversary of the initial construction that led to the expansion of arable land on the Jianan Plain to 150,000 hectares. But for the Jianan irrigation system, the southern plains of Taiwan would not have the high yields they do today. As a happy coincidence, reservoirs such as Wushantou, which were created by the project, are beautiful to look at too. They make for scenic tourist destinations.
Okay, guys, we're going to talk about the Jianan Plain. You know, the plain is an area of flat land, very flat. It usually doesn't have any forests or trees on it. It's not mountainous, so plain. Bounty refers to having a lot of something. I always refer to Thanksgiving dinner as a bountiful meal. We have so much food. We could sit at the table and eat for 3 days and not run out of food. The bounty. Or if you're harvesting crops, you'll often see this, especially in writing. not so much in spoken English, but they had a bounteous harvest. They had a lot of food come off. So the bounty. So what's behind the bounty of the Jiangnan Plain? What makes it so bountiful? Well, when you look at a map of Taiwan, I've never thought of this before, but our writer says you probably first notice its yam-like shape. I've never thought of it like a yam or a sweet potato, but I guess it does have that shape. It's actually really a cute picture in your mind that it paints, right? A yam or sweet potato. And right in the center of Taiwan is this mountainous backbone. Your spine is your backbone. We'll often use backbone to talk about how strong someone is. Can you push them around? If you push somebody around, they have no backbone. So if you have a backbone, it's good. It means your character is strong. You won't give up and you don't back away from a challenge. So Taiwan has that beautiful mountain range in the middle of the island, and they're calling that the mountainous backbone. That's really cute.
Now, one part that's often overlooked, though, is the patchwork of fields covering the Jiangnan Plain. I did want to mention, because of this romanization system, it's spelled with a CH here at the beginning.
This is not our pinyin system here.
Exactly. So, of course, this is based on the old Wei-Giles system that is still common in Taiwan. So if you meet foreigners and when they see this word, they'll probably say Chanan or something like that.
Or Chinon, maybe? Chinon?
They might say that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if they say that, you might not know what the heck they are talking about.
We wouldn't either.
Yeah, we, of course, live here in Taiwan and know that's Jiangnan, but foreigners overseas may not know that, so they may pronounce this word as Chanan or something like that.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. We're describing it as a patchwork of fields. Patchwork kind of reminds me of a quilt, you know?
Yeah.
All these little pieces of cloth sewed together. So, yeah, if you're flying over the Jiangnan Plain, you'll see all these different fields there. They'll look like a quilt with lots of pieces of cloth sewn together.
It sounds really pretty. It says here that it's nestled between the west coast and the Alishan Range. If you're nestled somewhere, just means you fit in there and it's kind of a cozy little position. We often will use nestled to talk about perhaps a house that's nestled in the foot of the mountain. You know, right at the bottom of the mountain, there's this cute little cabin that is set back against the mountains. It's nestled there. Or you might have maybe a little toddler who wants to sit on your lap, and he's nestled on your lap, you know. So it's kind of a cozy, comfortable position that it holds. So we're talking about an area of Taiwan that I'm not as familiar with. I have to be honest. I've been in the north most of my stay here. Now, the primary crops on the plain, because that's where a lot of things are grown, are commodities like rice and sugar cane, though farmers also plant sweet potatoes and a variety of grains. So these are some of the things that are raised in this particular area. Primary means the ones that are grown the most. So we've got rice, that's no surprise. Sugarcane, I'd like to see sugarcane grown. I've never seen that before. And they also plant sweet potatoes, and then grains would include things like rice and wheat, oats perhaps. Those are types of grains.
And many rivers stitch themselves across the landscape, but a dry year can diminish the amount of water available to farmers. So it's kind of interesting. Of course, we talked about a quilt earlier, a patchwork of fields in the Jiangnan Plain. But here we're using the word, what word are we using here?
Stitched. You just said
Stitch, yeah. Okay, that's a verb, actually.
Yeah.
When you sew, sometimes you stitch. My mother taught me how to knit one time, but never how to sew. So a stitch is like one time when you stick a piece of thread through two pieces of cloth and kind of make them move together. That's a stitch as a noun, but also that process is called stitching, the verb.
Stitch is a noun and a verb, guys. And if you hurt yourself and maybe cut your hand or your foot pretty badly, you go to the emergency room and the doctor will actually stitch that wound together. You'll get stitches because usually you get, you know, from 2 to 40. Who knows how badly you hurt yourself? We use it that way too. But yeah, it's kind of cute. If you're writing an article, it's kind of fun to have sort of a theme. And our writer has decided to use words that kind of make us think of sewing, right? The quilt, the patches, the stitching. It's a cute way to write. We love that in English, by the way. We think it's clever. So many rivers stitch themselves over the landscape, but a dry year can diminish the amount of water available to farmers. That's something all farmers dread. You never want to have a drought or not have enough rain. I can't imagine not having enough rain in Taiwan. It seems like it rains all the time here. I grew up in Arizona, and we never have rain, so I think it rains all the time here.
You're not used to it, huh?
No, but it's nice. It makes it pretty here and green. If something diminishes something else, it reduces it. A dry year can diminish the water. So reduce the water. You could actually just substitute reduce for diminish.
Okay, so the amount of water goes down if you have a dry year. And of course, Taiwan does experience droughts from time to time, and sometimes we do have to ration water, so be careful there. And this can happen down in the south there on the Jiangnan Plain, and farmers need to make a living. So, yeah, where do they get water when it's not coming from the sky? It's a good question. I guess this is where irrigation comes in.
Okay, guys, why not take a quick break here? We'll listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to continue talking about the Jiangnan Plain.Hello,
my name is Shelby. 现在进行单元15的中文讲解。标题：字面是嘉南平原的丰沛背后，通常这种口吻暗示有其他的含义或典故。Bounty 慷慨、丰富或补助金。当你看台湾地图，会注意到什么呢？可能你会看到它的形状或是中央山脉，那往往会忽略嘉南平原。第三句，这片平原从高雄延伸到嘉义西海岸与阿里山之间。动词 stretch 伸展，或代表时间或空间的绵延，例如 The desert stretches 沙漠绵延不断。当名词有个片语 at a stretch 一口气，例如他一口气跑10里， He ran 10 miles at a stretch， 相当于 extend 或者 expand 或者 spread。 Nestled 这里表达被什么环绕着，相当于 lie 位于。食品大牌雀巢这个商标也是拼成 Nestle， 但是它的字尾呢有一撇，原来是德国字，意思是鸟巢。雀巢这牌子要念成 Nestle。 嘉南平原和日本有渊源哦。在第二段，平原主要产物是米、甘蔗，多条河流交错，但是干旱的一年会减少农民可以用的水量。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about the bounty of the Jiangnan Plain. I'm not very familiar with this area of Taiwan, so it's kind of fun to learn a little bit more. Now, we know that Taiwan kind of resembles a yam or maybe a sweet potato. And in the middle of the island, it's got that beautiful mountain range. We're calling that the mountainous backbone. And there's also a lot of patchwork fields or patchwork of fields that cover this plain we're talking about. And they have a lot of crops there. We talked about how they grow rice, sugarcane, sweet potatoes, and different kinds of grains. There are also some rivers that stitch themselves or run through or run across the landscape. But dry years can really hurt the farmers there because no one wants a drought, especially if you're a farmer.
Yeah, especially if you're a farmer, then you can't make a living, and the rest of us either starve to death or we have to pay really high prices for imported food and stuff like that. So, of course, irrigation is very important. So here it says, relying solely on rain and rivers can thus be a dangerous proposition, not only for farmers, but also for the countries that depend on their harvests. So here we've got the word proposition, which usually means a kind of suggestion that somebody makes. Hey, I have a proposition for you. How would you like to go into business together? That's a proposition or a suggestion. But in this particular case, it kind of means a dangerous situation, okay? If you
Yeah.
rely solely on rain and rivers, well, that's not really a good idea.
No, really isn't. You can never trust that nature is going to give you enough of what you need. But it's also really pretty tough on the countries that depend on their harvests. You know, Taiwan exports a lot of our delicious fruit, especially to other countries. We grow a lot of delicious things here. Now, in the early 1900s, that was quite a while ago, this is the period of history in Taiwan when Imperial Japan occupied Taiwan. At that time, the colonial administrators wanted to increase rice production on the Jiangnan Plain because Japan needed more rice. And so they wanted to use the land here to grow rice and then send it back home to their native Japan. A colonial administrator, if you're someone from a country that has taken over control of another country and you rule them for a short time, and I think they were here like 50 years. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, 1895 to 1945.
Yeah, we know they did a lot of good things, you know. They helped develop some things in Taiwan, but I don't think anyone wants a foreign country to rule over them. Let's just be honest. So colonial, we use this word in America to talk about when British citizens crossed the river and settled in America for the first time. They were called the colonial settlers. An administrator is someone who just runs some sort of government. They're managing a program of some sort. We've got a lot of administrators in the government. Also, I know that some colleges have a lot of administrators as well.
Yep, so Japan crossed the ocean and came to Taiwan back in 1895 and took control of Taiwan. And Taiwan was a colony of Japan, so colonial is the adjective here. Like the UK was a colonial power for many years. Mm-hmm. And, of course, these administrators or government officials wanted to increase rice production on the Jiangnan Plain because Japan was suffering food shortages. So, yeah, they're the colonial power, and so they want to use Taiwan to benefit the mother country. So, yes, they wanted more food grown in Taiwan to feed the people of Japan because they had some food shortages. They had their own problems there, so they invested in agricultural development in Jiangnan. Now, control of this immense project was placed in the hands of an engineer named Hata Yoichi. He was in charge of this particular project. It was in his hands. It was his responsibility.
Mm-hmm. So, with rigorous management, rigorous is one of our vocab words. It just means really thorough. If someone is managing something and you talk about how rigorous the management is, just means that person is very carefully managing everything. You can't get away with sloppy work or not doing what you're supposed to do. Rigorous, exhaustive, very accurate. Here, he's managing, or he has a management that he's supervising of a corps of local workers. Now, here's a tricky word for you guys. It kind of looks like it should be pronounced corpse. But no, it's a French word. It actually comes from the word corpus, which means body. But what it really means is just a group of people. So the corps, we use this, I've heard it a lot, especially because the United States, with that, Wuhan pneumonia, we had our corps of army engineers who were trying to build things quickly in America to put a hospital up for people suffering. You'll also hear it if you're in ballet, guys. They call a group of ballerinas the corps de ballet. So that's how that's pronounced. It simply means a group of people usually working together to accomplish something. So they've got the corps of local workers. Those are the Taiwanese folks and the most advanced machinery available at the time. And Yoichi, he executed or carried out these plans that he had for a huge dam which you build to stop water so you can control the release of the water when you need it. And also numerous irrigation canals. Those are those little narrow canals that water runs through, and it moves the water from one area to another to provide water to an area that maybe doesn't have enough.
So he executed his plans. He put them into action. That's what execute here means. Execute also means to kill somebody if they've committed a crime, but here he put those plans into action for that big dam and those irrigation canals.
Now, canals can be quite big, where you'd actually see a boat go down, or they can be smaller. The ones in my neighborhood when I grew up are smaller. There would be no boats in those. So a canal is just an artificial waterway that people build. We construct them to allow for water or small boats or ships to pass through. This year commemorates or is celebrating the 100th anniversary of the initial construction, the first construction when they first started, that led to the expansion of arable land on the Jianan Plain to 150,000 hectares. Wow, that's big. Arable just means land that you can grow things on.
Yep, that's a big area there. And so it became arable, or able to grow crops. But for the Jianan irrigation system, the southern plains of Taiwan would not have the high yields they do today. So yeah, if we did not have this irrigation system, we wouldn't be able to grow so much food. They probably would have developed it later, but still, it's a good thing that the Japanese did this when they were here. Now, as a happy coincidence, reservoirs such as Wushantou, which were created by the project, are beautiful to look at too. Yeah, they actually help irrigate those fields, but hey, if you need some place to take the kids and the wife to on the weekend, head to this reservoir and you can take some wonderful landscape pictures there. A reservoir, of course, is a place that stores a lot of water. I'm familiar up here with the Feitsui Reservoir and the Sherman Reservoir.
It says here it was a happy coincidence, right? What's a coincidence? It's when two things just occur together, although it wasn't planned. It was just a coincidence that I applied for a job and then found out my best friend from high school already worked there. That was a coincidence. I didn't even know. Yay. So a coincidence. It wasn't on purpose. It just happened. I wanted to mention too, reservoir is also pronounced reservoir. I say reservoirs. So they're both correct. You pick what you want and just stick with it. So it's kind of cool that we have that over there, because they're now being able to grow a lot of wonderful crops for us to enjoy here and to export. Right now, we're going to take a quick break. It's the last time we listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to wrap up.
第二段第三句，仅靠雨水河水不仅对农民依赖其收成的国家也是个危险的主意。Relying on 放在句首当作主词，表示依赖，也可以写成 to rely on。on 也可以用 upon 来代替，表示依赖的片语还有 depend on、lean on 或者是 count on。用 solely 副词仅、只来形容，相当于 only。去掉字为 ly， 形容词 sole 唯一的，例如 our sole concern 我们唯一的担心。sole 也可以当名词，表示足底、脚板，例如脚底的伤口 a cut on the sole of her foot。再看后面的生字 proposition 建议、观点、问题等，通常会暗示负面的、不好的。例如说 he is a tough proposition 他是一个难对付的人。接着文法 not only but also 不仅而且对等连接词，在它们后面要接相同的词性。例如这一句话中 not only 后面放 for farmers介系词片语为了农夫， but also 后面也要放介系词片语 for the countries 第二个 for 不要受中文的影响而没有放，变成只剩 the countries 名词，那前后两个词性就不同了。日本殖民时期，当局想借由投资台湾的农业来改善他们国内的问题，这项大计划掌握在八田羽一的手中。动词片语 place in one's hand 落在谁的手中， place 当动词表示放置，相当于 put、set 或 rest R-E-S-T。 hand 手加上 s hands 支配， in one's hands 受谁的支配。另外常见 hand 的片语，例如说 on the one hand on the other hand 一方面怎么样，另一方面又怎么样。 in hand 在手中，例如 I have a cash in hand 我手中有满满的钞票哦。或口语的用法 I have my hands full 我忙得分身乏术。第二段最后一句，看主要动词 execute 这个生字，它是实施实行，后面直接加受词，相当于 carry out 或者 enforce enforce。 例如说 We execute our plan at once， 我们立刻执行计划。另外也可以表示处决，所以常写成被动，例如 She was executed to death， 她被处决死刑。第三段，今年是这工程的第100年，可耕面积也扩大到15万公顷。第二句，要不是这灌溉系统，这平原不会有这么高的产能。句首的 but for 是假设语气用字，若非若不是， for 后面加名词，表示若不是什么什么的话，相当于 if it were not for， 或者是 if it had not been for。 它的主要子句动词要用假设口吻，所以在这文章这句的后半句，它动词词组 would not have 就是假设现在用过去式时态来表达。后面 yields 生产量收获，例如 rice yields 稻米的产量， crop yields 农作物产量，相当于 harvest harvest。 最后一句的动词片语 make for 表示走向或者是有处于，用法是 A 加 make for 加 B， A 促成 B。 主词 they 是指前面的 reservoirs 水库们，这些水库呢促进形成了 scenic tourist destinations 美丽的观光景点。以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
That brings us to the end of our lesson for today. And thanks to the hard work of the farmers down there in the Jiangnan Plain and other parts of Taiwan, we have food on our plates to eat.
Yay.
From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.